All right, so welcome to our flow series. For the next 50 days, we're going to be talking about flow, fearlessly liberating our wealth consciousness. Now, if you have come to Speakeasy in the past, if you've been around here for a while, you might have noticed that we really don't talk about, prosperity and wealth consciousness. It's just something that we do, and we actually do it really well, but we don't really talk too much about it. I'm not really sure why, but when we do talk about it, we go all the way. So this will be a 50-day series. We do like 4-week series. So this one's a little bit longer. And we're doing this because I sincerely hope that during this time you receive a vital and bountiful blessing in regards to your life. So this is a prosperity series, and the whole idea is about raising the consciousness around unlimited abundance that is available to all of us all the time. Now, if that does not seem like where you are right now, then if you don't feel like you're in the flow, and if you feel like it's more of like a frustrating little trickle, or God forbid, a complete drought, don't worry. God is affluence. And if it's not your truth right now, there's no shame and there's no blame, but there's also no problem. Do not use that to harm yourself. There is no problem. But I do want you to settle in and buckle up, because it really doesn't take much to heal your prosperity consciousness. Richard was talking about it, right before we got on. He was saying, like, I just started to tithe. That was one shift that I made that started making a radical difference. There's a few minor little shifts that you can make energetically that will cause an opening to your flow. I promise you that if you take the time to get conscious around your energy and the way that you pay attention to your prosperity, I promise you that you will experience a shift. What you focus on increases. That's a law. And you deserve to live in the flow of God's good and plenty, which is not some sad Halloween candy that you used to smirk at. It's the real thing. God's affluence. You deserve it. If there's a place or an agreement or an old worn out thought that is blocking your good, I'm going to claim and declare right here and right now that together and in community, we're going to shift that energy and open up a more honest and helpful demonstration of God's true nature. God is affluent. And we right now are on the cusp of spring. So we literally have front row seats to witnessing the divine, diverse affluence of God. God is going to spring into form, into newness, into affluence. Affluence comes from the Greek verb to flow abundantly. So that's what it means, to flow abundantly. And if God is anything, God is this limitless flow of regenerative energy. A limitless flow of regenerative energy. You might even call that love. So remember that love is the opposite of fear. In Luke 22, Jesus says, "Do not be afraid, little flock. Your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom." Now, it doesn't say to sell you the kingdom. It doesn't say to make you work your ass off for the kingdom, but to give you the kingdom in the same way that Mother Nature is going to give us spring. There's no bartering, there's no begging, there's no budget that needs to be devised for spring. Could God be less available than spring? Could God's love be withheld in some way that is not as natural as the delivery of spring? So do you have a relationship with your source that feels that effortless? Do you believe that you're worthy of the kingdom? The kingdom, it says, it's giving us the kingdom. It's not saying it's giving us the back house or the condo or the duplex or the doghouse. It's saying the whole flipping kingdom is for you. There's no lack at all. You might want to argue that point, because there's a lot of points in the world where it looks like scarcity and poverty is happening. You might say children are dying even as we speak of starvation. Children do not die from starvation because there's a lack of food. Children die of starvation because there's not enough conscious awareness of a generous and regenerative nature of love. That's it. There's more than enough food on the planet. That's why children die of starvation, and that's terrible. That's why your own dreams live on the back burner, and because of a belief in scarcity. That's it. That's where all wars come from, is a belief in scarcity. Both the internal wars and the lack in wars that we see on the external, they all come from a belief in scarcity. Lack, limitation, poverty are experiences that are demonstrated from the delivery of fear, not love. And we all have the responsibility to work the law of abundance, of affluence, of prosperity, not just for our own good, but so that we can extend that good, so that we can see a world that is well cared for and comforted. So that we too can experience the flow and flesh flavors of love. Because it's not about the money that you have in the bank. That's actually not it at all. It's nice that that actually happens when you shift your prosperity awareness, but that's not the best thing that could happen to you, is that you pile up papers of green things that say, "In God we trust." That's lovely, but that's not the hot ticket. It's about everything else, actually. It's about your health. It's about your happiness. It's about your fulfillment. It's about your freedom. You can experience the opulence of God if you have a consciousness for faith and flow. And this is what it can look like. A couple years ago, I was speaking at a convention in San Francisco, and a bunch of people from Speakeasy came with me, and we had a blast. It was this Course in Miracles convention, and we had plans to travel down the coast in Los Angeles. I wanted to see some old friends, and our friend Mary and Alma were with me, and they wanted to see some sights. And so we headed out to this convention, but none of us made any plans for after the convention. We didn't rent a car. We didn't book any rooms. We didn't look at any hotels or Airbnbs. We made no plans whatsoever. Maybe we thought that God was going to give us the kingdom, because that's exactly what happened. So I know when I told them, like, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out, they thought that I was a little crazy. On the last day of the conference, they came up to me in the hotel room. We had to leave that, that next day. They're like, what are we going to do? We didn't make any plans. I said, don't worry, we're going to lunch right now. Like, after lunch, we will definitely figure it out, and it will get figured out. So I go on to the lunch line, and I'm waiting there, and a man comes up to me, and I never met him before. And he said, "Hey, Maureen, great talk. Thanks for selling me the ticket. I must have bought it online." And he said, "I had a great time at the convention. I'm going to jump in my RV and head down to Los Angeles now." And I said to him, "Tell me more about this RV." And he said, "Oh, I got this brand new Mercedes RV. It's fantastic. It sleeps 6 people. It has all the bells and whistles." And I said to him, and I don't know why I said this, but I said to him, "Would you be interested in traveling companions?" His face lit up like Christmas. He was like, "I would love that." He's like, "When I'm taking my RV down to Los Angeles, after that, I'm supposed to get on a flight to Hawaii, but I haven't booked my ticket yet. So wherever you ladies want to stop, however long you want to stay, I'll be your guy." Next thing you know, we're all in the RV laughing our asses off. All we had to do was pay for his food and gas, and we offered this to him. He didn't even want that. And we got to roll like rock stars in our own tricked out Mercedes RV. And it was awesome. So that is what affluence can look like. It's freedom. It's always a win-win. And I want to tell you this because a lot of times we really pin everything on how many dollars are in the bank. Now, if we had planned our good in that scenario, if we had gone out and about planning our good, we would have gotten in the way of God's great. Now, I'm not asking you to ditch your plans. I know you'd probably put me in a jacket that ties in the back if I asked you to ditch all of your plans. I know it's really hard for people not to plan. I'm just asking you to think about, just to give some awareness to whether or not your plans are made in love and joy and liberation, or in fear and control. We have this tendency to look for lack in using the math of man. How does it add up in the math of man? Oh, we'll say, like, I can't get there, I can't do that, I can't go there because I don't have any money. I once traveled to many wonderful and exotic places with no money whatsoever. I got a gig as an au pair for a jazz band, and they would get booked on cruises, and we ended up in Martinique. We would go to Club Meds, and all I had to do was take care of their kids during their gig. It was the most ridiculous job ever. I had no money at the time. I was a struggling actress in New York City, and I was flying all over the place, first class, with this jazz band. So it's time that we lean into the rich red carpet of God that God seeks to roll out for us, instead of continuing to block and block and block and try and figure it out from the figures of our own consciousness. And I want this for you because you deserve it. You deserve to experience freedom and liberation from the scarcity mindset. This type of liberation comes from the affirmation and the affirming of the abundance of your source. Literally accepting that the Lord is your shepherd and you shall not want for a single thing. Your good is at hand. These are not just pretty words on a page. These are things that we could actively embody. This is not some get rich quick gospel. This is about mindset and energy, not just for your own good, but so that you can be a purposeful and prosperous person in the world. A Course in Miracles puts it this way, and I love this section of A Course in Miracles. It's in the section where it's under what it says. It says the self, capital S self, that God created needs nothing. I have been preaching to you for a year and a day about needing nothing, about cultivating the consciousness of needing nothing, meaning you walk into a room with spiritual swagger where you don't need anything and you don't have to be any more or less than you already are. That's a hot place to live. And that's what this is saying. It's saying the self that God created needs nothing. It's forever complete and safe and loved and loving. It seeks to share rather than get. It extends rather than projects. It has no needs and wants to join with others out of their mutual awareness of abundance. I don't know about you, but that is hot. It's mutual awareness of abundance. Do you ever come to a relationship like that where you're not trying to get something, where you're just so full of yourself in a holy way that you know that you just have something to give, and you get to meet up with somebody else who feels equally as holy about themselves, and then you get to have this amazing volley back and forth of the mutual awareness of your own abundance. There's no lack, there's no need, there's no scarcity. That's hot. So this is the big S self, not the small s self. Your big S self is without needs or wants and wants to join with others only out of an awareness of abundance. This is not just about prosperity. It's like I said, it's about everything. Do we believe and affirm that there is an abundant good and plenty that extends generously from our source? Do we believe that we deserve to experience the effortless flow of this good? And if not, why? In A Course in Miracles, we're taught to look at the blocks. Like you don't just accept scarcity and lack. You get to look at it and ask, why? What do I believe in that has caused me to experience this? I mean, why would God ask you to jump through hoops? Do you have a God that does that? Why would God withhold your good? Do you or do you not believe that you're given the kingdom? And what does that look like for you? Do you allow yourself to contemplate such things? Because lack is a lie. And we get to demonstrate the generous and generative nature of God. This is your job for the next 7 weeks. If affluence or prosperity is an issue or an illness in your life, let's get that healed. Let's demonstrate the limitless nature of God's love. Let's move into the flow. This is how the Bible says it. It literally says, don't worry. Don't worry. It says, do not worry. In Luke 12, it says, when Jesus says to his disciples, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. Your life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. Consider the ravens. They don't sow or reap. They have no storehouse or barn. God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than the birds? Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? Since you can't do that, why do you worry about anything? Consider how the wildflowers grow. Do they labor or spin? And yet I tell you, even now, Solomon in all of his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you of little faith? And do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it. But seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you. Do you believe that? It goes on to say, do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions, give to the poor, provide purses for yourself that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will never fail, where no thief comes near and no moths destroy. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. So the idea of this section is saying, like, don't worry about your good. Ensure your good by giving it away. That's the Course in Miracles. Ensure your good by giving it away. And I know that sounds crazy, but we're just going to unpack it a little bit. If you want something, Give it away and it will return to you tenfold. My mom taught me that when I was a kid. I continue to use it. It continues to shock me. It continues to work. If you don't believe it, then this would be a perfect time for you to test your faith in this way and demonstrate the law of giving and receiving. Stop worrying about getting your good and start getting really good at giving. In lesson 187 of A Course in Miracles, it says, no one can give unless he has. In fact, giving is proof of having. We have made this point before. What seems to make it hard to credit is not this. No one can doubt that you first must possess what you would give. It's the second phase on which the world and true perception differ. Having had and given, then the world asserts that you have lost what you possess. The truth maintains that giving will increase what you possess. That giving will increase what you possess. So, they talk about this in the idea of ideas. If I share an idea with you, I don't lose that idea. That idea becomes more strengthened in me. This is the same thing with forms, because forms follow consciousness. Recently demonstrate this. I didn't do this to demonstrate it, but it's a great demonstration of it. I had a Songball and I purchased it for myself for my birthday a couple of years back. I really wanted to have a whole set. It turned out to be like a couple $100, and I thought, geez, Songballs are pretty pricey. So maybe I'll buy myself one every birthday that I have. Well, birthdays came and went, and I just never got around to buying any more bowls. So I had this one bowl. It was the heart bowl. And I loved it. And I played it all the time. And I took it to my friend's house when they weren't feeling good. And I played it for them. And I took it to this one friend, and she like freaked out over it. She loved it so much. I mean, she loved it so much. She asked me to borrow it a couple times. And I was like, okay, I guess you can borrow my song bowl. One day I realized it was her birthday and I didn't have a gift for her. And my eyes fell on this song bowl. And I was like, oh, like that would be the perfect gift for her. And she'd been going through like kind of a rough patch at the time. And I thought about giving her the Songball, but I also thought, I don't want to give her the Songball. I felt like my little greedy heart was like, it hesitated. I was like, that's my Songball. I don't want to give it to her. I spent a lot of money on it, and I got plans. I got to get more Songballs up in here. But my other, my better self is kind of tugging at me saying, no, you should give her the Songball. That would make her really happy. So the next thing you know, I'm bringing the damn Songball over to her house. I was a little more gracious than I'm telling it now. But 6 months later, maybe even less than 6 months, a friend calls to tell me that she has a set of Songbowls that she wants to gift to me. She wants to give me the kingdom of Songbowls, 10 Songbowls. I was shocked. I don't know why I was shocked at the abundance of 10 Songbowls. I shouldn't be shocked at all because it's tenfold. That's the law. It will return to you tenfold. And here's the thing. I didn't just get 10 Songbowls. I also got like 5 drums, 2 gongs, a whole bunch of other cool stuff that I didn't even know that I wanted. God was rolling out the red carpet for me. This is a demonstration of a law. This is not special. This is not some special handshake. So together for the next 7 weeks, except for Easter, we're going to focus on the flow of God's good in our lives. Being in the flow, the idea of flow, is a state of seamlessness, where you feel that every move you make is on point. And you can access this state of being through asking your internal teacher, like, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? When you get to that space of flow, and you might vacillate, but we're going to work on it for 7 weeks. When you get to that space of flow, you've experienced it before. It's where things seem to line up. Synchronicities happen. All encounters feel blessed and beautiful and a win-win. Where you turn your attention to a project and time just seems to stand still, and you ride this wave of inspiration where things just come to you. And you can work like that for hours and never be drained. This is a very opulent state, a very rich state to access. And you're not just worthy of this state, but you're actually designed for this state. In fact, when you're out of this state, you feel the jagged stress. And the jagged stress is not helpful to you or anyone else. So here's the thing. It's all about energy, about being energetically, financially in flow when things are flushed and juicy and feel vibrant and healthy. When we're not in this state, we can feel stingy and brittle and stagnant and stressed. It's all about energy. When we're consciously aware and responsible for the flow of energy in our lives, we will not only notice, but we'll begin to honor this energy and the vibration of our agreements and our encounters. And then when we begin to honor this energy, we'll begin to look at where we're giving our energy away, or where we're engaging in toxic thoughts or relationships that are draining. And we'll get to pay attention to where we hesitate. Like I hesitated with that bowl. Like we'll get to meet up with our comfort zone of generosity. This is something to look at if you find yourself hesitating, because flow doesn't hesitate. All of your relationships should feel fluid and healthy and easy and open. And if there's a place where you feel a hesitation, look at that. Ask yourself, like, what am I not willing to admit in this moment? That I think there's a lack of songballs in the world. This is the very mentality that makes children starve to death. So I don't mean to take it lightly. It's actually quite powerful. When I'm hesitating, ask yourself, what am I grasping? What am I controlling? What am I trying to direct? If there's a place or area in your life that you feel unsafe, or where you're not allowing yourself to fully show up, that's another block. That's a direct block to your flow. If you have a place in your life where you feel indifferent, this is the time to clean that up. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt that someone was just feeling indifferent towards you? That's a really shitty place to be. If you're not completely in love with every aspect and item in your life, cut it loose. It deserves to be loved and fully loved, and you deserve to be in the flow. As long as you're having these half-assed vibratory relationships, you're screwing yourself. Sorry for the language. I hope that there's no children in the room. Anyway, the energy of being shut down, of being jealous, of being suspicious, of being judgmental, of being unconscious. And by unconscious, I mean any place where you dabble in things that cause you to want to escape, like any place where you go unconscious, right? Where you might be, shopping or smoking or drinking or playing video games. I'm not judging any of that. I'm just asking you to look at those relationships, because I want you to be in the flow and not numbed out and blurry. And if you engage in too many of those things, you just get to look at the energy around it. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to give it up, but I'm asking you to look at it. Right now, many people in our universal communities are going through Lent, which is a practice that people give something up, prior to Easter. So maybe it's time to look at any unconscious habits that are dulling your flow. That could be judgment, that could be distractions, that could be you and everybody else's business. These little places that we kind of tuck away our energy. Maybe it's time to look at those things and let them go. For the next 50 days, we're going to hold the high watch for major shifts and miracles, major mind shifts in our community. I want you to notice all the abundance that is happening in your life. I want you to hold this for yourself and hold it for each member of our community. I want you to create a bubble of prosperity. This is where we begin to prepare the soil. The soil is the consciousness. In 2 weeks, we're going to offer that class that Beth talked to you about, and we'll tell you more about that as we put the links up for that. But I'm going to close with this. There is a power and a flow within you, and it's in all things. And it's a constant stream of God's love, and it's pulsating, palpitating in everything. It is an ebb and a flow. It's like your breath. It's like the blood that courses through your veins. It's this flow of life that moves you forward. This flow is a constant state. And as we tap into the awareness of the flow, it helps us to experience expansion. People say, go with the flow. It feels free. It's sage advice. Go with the flow. Don't swim upstream. Watch your energy and all of those sticky places that hold you down. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, merrily, merrily. Life is but a dream. It's nothing to get hung up on and strung out by. It's supposed to be fun. So this week, we're going to begin to till the soil of our consciousness. I want you to watch your words and energies. Just notice the places and pockets that cause you to feel low vibe. Next week, we're going to begin to change the channel. And here's the thing, you're the channel. It's time to channel your greater good, your greatest good. You've been given the kingdom. Now you just need to accept it and extend it. And that's the word.